Dorset sika in the rut. When a McNab challenge goes south, we improvise and strike gold.
Wowzers, mate, wowzers.
A school provides a butchery lesson. A bunch of kids breaks down a roe carcass.
There needs to be a space where children can ask those questions. Is it good, bad, or slightly more complicated to kill an animal?
Plink perfect. Terry Doe is back with a range of Webley air pistols, and David is on the Fieldsports Channel news stump. Welcome to Field Sports Britain.
If all had gone to plan, the opening shot of this film should have been something like this, followed by something like this, climaxing with something like this. However, nature played us a rotten hand and Storm Amy stopped the inaugural Dorset McNab in its tracks.
We shouldn't be here, should we?
No, we shouldn't be here this morning. We had a window of about 15 knots where we could have got off Portland, where there are heaps of bluefin tuna at the moment, and it would have been fantastic, but unfortunately we just can't do it. But that's not a problem, because we'll be back to show you the Dorset McNab at another time.
You okay with that, Mike? Not too
Sounds
disappointed?
good to me. No, one of those things. There's always something else to do in Dorset, which is great.
So, Peter and Mike are leaving the fish starter and the duck main course for another day, and we're heading straight for Sika Sunday with plenty of sprinkles. Peter takes us through the estate, trying hot spots that he knows hold stags. Nothing is showing.
We'll stop and call in a minute when I get a good vantage point. The slight worry is that if he's up in behind us here, we're going to wind him. Hopefully he's that way.
With our plans up in the air, Mike heads home until this evening, while David and Peter head off to talk trees. What a perfect opportunity to kill a few hours of daylight by filming a piece for an upcoming episode of Farming Britain, which we're relaunching this autumn.
Spruce drop needles, firs don't. So if Nordman fir, Fraser fir and the likes, then they don't drop their needles. And that's why when I started selling Christmas trees 35 years ago, 90% of my trees I sold were spruce and 10% Nordman. Now, 90% of the trees we sell are Nordman and 10% spruce.
To kill more time, Peter shows David his oil drum sika hide.
It's an old oil tank which has been cut up. We've got some seats in there. We've got a few plans for the future. We need an optics in there. That's the dream that I have. I've got to sort that out. Obviously only allowed to use after we've shot something. But these fields, I don't know if you can see these fields around us. These fields are generally populated on an evening with a large volume of deer, anything between 50 and 150 animals in these fields. So we've got a big deer management culling job on this year, and these fields are very, very important for that because there's so many animals. So this TARDIS is all part of that plan. So you've got three different angles because the deer come out from all different angles on these fields, and you've got a nice backdrop everywhere, nice safe shots. As I say, a really important tool, albeit a quirky one, maybe we should patent them, for deer management on this estate. If he's going to do anything, he'll run across there.
Of course, Dorset is well known for its sika, and Peter is not just shooting the big stuff. There is a whole management plan in place to keep the landowners happy.
Japanese sika deer were released on Brownsea Island in Poole Harbour many years ago without the knowledge that they could actually swim. So they then swam ashore and colonized the purbex. So we're a little way from the purbex here. This is one of the reasons why we've got such a huge amount of sika deer in this area. It's important to understand the volume of deer because that's what justifies the need for proper culling activity of these animals, and that's what this is about. Obviously we're after a stag specifically, or prickets, male deer at the moment because they're in season, but this is part of an overall management plan, which is what we are about here, and what we do is getting those numbers down to a more reasonable level in this area.
A strong swirling wind and mild temperature is going to make life tricky for us. We get in really close to some hinds, but struggle to get our stag into the open. We struggle to get any stag into the open. We know they are there because of the thermal. Before we lose the light, Peter heads to another spot where the deer are easy to see but not so easy to get into. He knows some of the sika in the lower ground will wind us. The gamble is they won't disturb a rutting stag.
200. But I'll try and get in closer, all right? Not interested in the call at all, is he? Let him walk down a bit. Yeah, he's 216 now.
Peter tells Mike to get on the sticks.
Okay.
Mike's a seasoned shotgun shooter and angler. He is relatively new to stalking. If the stag presents a shot, it's likely to be a 200-metre shot in low light.
You're happy now we can run it.
With the light disappearing fast, Peter gives Mike the okay.
No. Yeah. Looks all right to me. It's coming straight at us. Oh wow. Wowzers, mate. Wowzers. Wow. That's a big beast.
It's a good 8 pointer, isn't he?
Very good 8 pointer. Tiny little chip there. Big animal. Nice coronets. Just a little bit there, which we'll get marked down on, but it's a big. Good.
Wow.
Good. That's big. It's a big. That's a cracker. We did earn it.
We did earn it.
When we started this morning at 5:30, going out on a boat. Going out on a boat. And
It looks like a tuna to me.
no.
To help get the stag into the truck, there's a nifty winch system from Animal Transit boxes.
I'll winch this up this ladder in a minute, and in addition to that, I'll if I was gralloch in the field, this contraption here fits on the back, and I can do a suspended gralloch. But as we now have our new swanky ladder, I don't need to. Obviously, the only problem with having a ladder as part of your paraphernalia is that all my mates take the mickey out of me and say I need it to get in my lifted truck. But yeah.
Make a difference having a lifted truck.
No, not really. But it's a boy's toy, isn't it? Truth be known. Okay.
With hernias averted, the sika stag, which we now know is a gold medal, gets unloaded at the chiller. The day may have started with a washout, but we certainly made up for it, and dates are already in the diary for Mike and Peter to complete the first Dorset McNab, fur, feather and bluefin. To talk to Peter about tuna, sika or even Christmas trees, head to sportfishingcharters.co.uk.
Thank you, Pete and Mike. If you're thinking about starting out in deer stalking, or maybe you have been doing it for years and someone is asking you for a qualification, or you're a cameraman wanting to enhance his CV, more on that next week. Have a look at the Proficient Deer Stalking course, the PDS one, which you can find in our shop, link below. Plus, we have a new round of raffles for which you can buy tickets at fieldsportscompetitions.co.uk. There are 4 raffles underway, including the Schmidt & Bender 3-18x14 Metascope, which retails at £3,000. Tickets for the scope are £7.99 each, alongside raffles for Bushwear, Thorn Guard, Pro Gaiters and Leggings, a Pard Night Stalker Pro 4K LRF digital day-night scope, and a Hart Izzard jacket at ticket prices from as low as £1.29. Next up, from gold medal to a wooden spoon, it's David on the Fieldsports Channel News Stump.
This is Fieldsports Channel News. Footage of police shooting a bull that had escaped from an abattoir has led to calls for officers to be banned from dealing with domestic livestock and wildlife. The appalling police operation in the Isle of Man saw an officer shoot the bull 3 times before he downed it. Then one officer ran up to it. The animal stood and the firearms officer behind the running officer took another shot at it. Commentary from the crowd behind the camera reflects wider revulsion across social media after this film was released.
Are they fucking idiots? Unbelievable, man.
Now shooters are to ask the Home Office to relieve the UK's police forces of wildlife and livestock duties and hand them to the hunting and shooting community. The Isle of Man Constabulary has reacted by asking people not to share the video of the shooting. Countryside organisations are welcoming the Scottish Government's decision to postpone Muirburn licensing. The Scottish Government says it's suspending the start date of the scheme until the beginning of the next Muirburn season in autumn 2026. It is nervous about its ability to deal with wildfires without gamekeepers being able to cold burn fire breaks into moorland. Introduced under the Wildlife Management and Muirburn Scotland Act, Muirburn licensing had originally been due to take effect in September 2025. Meanwhile, the Moorland Association is taking legal action against DEFRA in England to force the same decision. DEFRA recently trebled the area where controlled burns are banned. Wales is consulting on the future of greyhound racing. The Senate's Cultural Committee plans to ban greyhound racing, but has had to consult with voters first, and an online survey is now live. There are only a couple of weeks to take part, linked below. Hunts around the country say they will disappear in the wake of a Labour government ban on trail hunting. The National Trail Hunting Day in October 2025 saw hunts invite media to film them. The We Are Hunting organisation, which promotes trail hunting, also launched a new booklet, Rural Voices, and a film called Hunting the Facts.
If Labour was to ban trail hunting, it would be devastating from all angles, all ways of life, certainly in the countryside community. For a number of reasons. It's social events, it's people's way of lives, it's livelihoods, it's certainly, I mean, I'm a farrier. It's 60% of my work is hunt horses, so that would affect me, feed merchants. It would be devastating to all businesses.
A new UK online shooting magazine has launched with a Vinnie Jones feature in issue number 1. Country Sports Magazine is a free 100-page digital title created by shooters for shooters. Launched on the 15th of October 2025, it aims to put traditional editorial values into an interactive flipbook format. For its debut issue, the magazine has a feature with former footballer, actor and countryman Vinnie Jones on his 2,000-acre West Sussex estate. Here's the editor, former sporting gun and rifle shooter editor Paul Austin.
It's a brand new digital field sports title, 100 pages, 100% free every month. We've got some amazing writers involved, some great content in the first issue, and it goes live today. So please check it out at countrysports.net.
Are you in the Ilkley area on Thursday the 23rd of October for a pie and pea supper? Then head to Basque's annual Pie and Pea Night at Ilkley Rugby Club in West Yorkshire. You can book on the Basque website and it's £10 per ticket. Hunters from Safari Club International's Pakistan chapter have held their first medical and relief camp for local people. With the support of SCI's Iberian chapter, it took place in government buildings in Kalar Kahar in the north of the country. Doctors treated more than 1,100 patients, gave free consultations, free medication, including more than 400 pairs of spectacles, plus clothing, food and cash. And finally, how many poachers can you fit in a car? Cambridgeshire Police found out when a police chase of a vehicle holding suspected poachers finally ground to a halt in a country lane. An officer had deployed a stinger which had deflated all of the poachers' vehicle's tyres.
Yeah, decamping. We've got 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 males out, all out on foot.
Officers seized the vehicle and recovered several dogs, but the poachers escaped. Thanks to Greg Hill for the story. You are now up to date with Fieldsports Channel News. Stalking the stories, fishing for facts. Fieldsports Channel members get more. Every week there's Fieldsports Extra, our exclusive show packed with behind-the-scenes clips, interviews and a free prize draw. Plus, membership gives you access to our Fieldsports Advice Bureau for help with shooting and firearms licensing, with our in-house lawyer on your side. And with our insurance, you're covered for £5 million public liability for shooting activities across the UK, as well as legal expenses cover. Join today so we can keep the pressure on and the volume up.
Here's what's in this week's Fieldsports Extra. an interview with the editor of a new magazine, and David is complaining again.
I do not need this.
This week's Fieldsports Extra prize draw is for Tigris oil, 3 cans each for 3 lucky winners. They are the Tigris gun cleaner and degreaser, the Tigris trigger spring and piston lubricant, and the Tigris wipe down gun oil and lubricant. Link to Tigris below. Find out how to enter the draw to win them in Fieldsports Extra, which you can watch by signing up as a member on our website, fieldsportschannel.tv, which we offer with both public liability and legal expenses insurance. Next, kids congregate at a Devon farm to learn how to break down a deer carcass.
We're on a farm in Devon with a bunch of children. Darren from the Exmoor Game School is going to show them how to break down a roe deer carcass. They are going to help him, and they are going to mince the meat and cook and eat the burgers. He starts by asking them about killing animals and what they think of it.
There needs to be a space where children can ask those questions, and I'm very keen that, although I set that question of, is it good, bad, or slightly more complicated to kill an animal, although I sort of set that as an open question, I am very much led by the children's response. I don't have an answer to that. I'm not looking to move them all to the good side or the bad side or the more complicated side. There's a lot of that in, different, they'll come across that in their life of people trying to push them one way or the other. So ask the question, keep it open, and be led by their responses and acknowledge their responses. If people think that killing animals is bad, understand that that comes from a place of kindness predominantly, and that's not just these children, that's our kind of wider population. It's also coming from a place of sort of no first-hand experience, understanding or knowledge. So that's where I feel that, again, I'm not looking necessarily to change anyone's idea, but if I can give them that knowledge, understanding, and an open forum for them to ask those questions, then they will start thinking about it a bit deeper. And I do believe that a conclusion that you come to of your own volition has far more power than one of like, you should do this, think this is really good, because people go, well, hang on a minute, Whereas if I can just lay it all out for people and they come to a thing of, actually, makes a lot of sense, this does, and I can come to here, that is a decision that will affect change, I think, and is more likely to sort of create sort of informed, conscientious consumers of meat as they grow up into adulthood.
Amelia Greenway is the farmer here.
So we're National Trust tenant farmers, and what we do is we welcome educational visits for the community here on our farm. We regularly have visits here on the farm at least twice a week. We've got different workshops on. We welcome to the home ed community, local schools, colleges. It's really diverse, the people that we welcome. We'll meet the cattle, we'll talk about how we are farming organically with nature, we'll talk about the life cycle. There's many different things we do here. I get very excited when I get people on the farm who question our systems and people who ask me the difficult questions, because actually those are the people that we're needing to challenge the most. And if we can break down those barriers as farmers, then it's a job well done. We saw Darren's journey and we really wanted to involve him here on the farm. That was really important, that we always tell the story of farm to fork, or in this case, field to fork. People need to really be reconnected with their food again. I'm
sort of led by the group, so this is a special educational needs group, so it's not sit down, so they naturally went to the table, so the specifics of deer management and why we might manage deer, and for the good of the species, maybe not the individual, but the good of the species, they require that management there. Then we looked at the deer, and for some people that's quite a thing. This might be the first deer they've ever seen, and it's hung up by the back legs on the back of the truck. So that's quite a lot to take in. So now we're just having a little bit of a break so people can kind of process some of the things that we were talking about deer and deer management, because it's one thing to say it, and now this is the reality of deer management. So they're seeing it there. So now there's a bit of time for them to kind of process that in their own way, ask questions of the teachers or for adults that they're familiar with, and then we'll start again, and we're going to sort of start breaking down the animal ready for some lunch.
Not all of the kids liked it, so a couple of teachers lead a small group away to look at the chickens.
I think they'll all come back at some point. So once the head's off, and we sort of see this fairly, sort of nearly 2,000 sessions now. So they will wander back in at a point where once the skin's off, and it sounds ridiculous, but people go, oh, it's meat. Like they can then start to see it, and we're going to make a burger. And again, I'm keen that we use food that children are familiar with, because they can reverse engineer that. So at some point it will look like food that they recognise, and that's the point at which they re-engage. And that's fine, I don't need them to do it, yeah.
Darren is right. Once the deer is jointed and reduced to the kinds of pieces of meat that kids would see at a butcher or butchery counter in a supermarket, they start to come back.
It is a real privilege to share in a genuine, new and novel experience with the... It's a shame that it is new and novel in one respect, but you know, to be part of that enthusiasm and to see some very real emotion that's hard to hide, you know, that thing of like, oh wow, that is an actual deer, or I didn't know it was going to feel like that, or you know, that sort of exploration, and everyone has got involved, you know, even the people that initially were like, oh, that's a bit much. Everyone has cut some meat up, everyone has minced some meat up, made a burger, sat down and tried their burger with varying degrees of, you know, success, but everyone has tried it, and everyone is now, you know, thinking a little bit more about that sort of process. If there was a point where it became familiar, and then it was like, oh, like I've seen that meat in Morrison's or the butcher's shop or something like that. Now I'm back somewhere that I'm comfortable with, and because, as I said earlier, it is a really familiar format being a burger, those children can now reverse engineer that burger, meat, deer, farming, and bring it back down that way. So they've seen the whole process and the whole chain.
By the end of the 3-hour session, the kids are happily munching into roebuck burgers. For Darren, who was a teacher for 22 years before he set up the Exmoor Game School, this is about giving the kids context and vocabulary. It is a gentle introduction to game meat.
So one of the teachers here today is a vegetarian, but has been, and she said, well, actually, she actually said earlier, if I was going to eat meat, this is the meat I'd eat. You know, there isn't a reason, and that's fine, isn't it? If people come to that thing of, I don't want to eat an animal because of my own personal thing, that's fine. You know, that's your opinion. But what we see quite a lot of is, I don't want to do it, and you shouldn't do it either. And that is where that shuts down that conversation. You know, of, you know, it doesn't allow, there isn't any room for questioning there or exploration. It is, you know, finger pointing and wagging and all of that kind of stuff.
To find out how to have Darren along to your school, your college, or even your children's party, visit theexmoorgameschool.com.
Thanks, Darren, and all who took part in that. Now, airgun slinger Terry Doe takes a look at Webley's CO2 air pistol range.
And now for something completely different. Well, for me at least. I have become a pistol shooter. Now, I don't have many regrets in this shooting life of mine, but one of them is these days that I didn't get into shooting pistols earlier. I found it a bit too difficult, to tell you the truth, but what I should have looked at as a challenge, I looked at and it put me off. So don't be like me. Don't miss out on a ton of fun and instruction, which I'll reveal at the end. I'm getting my pistol fix via 3 Webley Mk VIs sent to me by Highland Outdoors. This is a brilliant piece of kit on all sorts of levels. Not only is it fun to shoot, I mean, it's really hefty, it's impressive. In fact, they're made on the identical blueprints that the original firearms were manufactured from. I've got here the world famous service revolver. I've got the civilian model with a little stubby barrel, and this one is the police model with a 4.5-inch barrel. They all run on CO2, those little 12-gram capsules that you can get, and they just fit in there. Tighten them up, put the grip cap back on, snap it down, and then press the stirrup, open it up. Make sure the safety catch is on. The safety catch is manual, it's quite stiff, but make sure it's on. These are still air guns, you still have to be safety aware with them, and just load up the little sort of dummy bullets. You can take the bullets out if you want and load them up, sort of load them individually, but I prefer just to do it like that. Close, make sure everything's safe to shoot, safety off, and you've got a choice of modes. You can go single action, which is more deliberate, or the one that most of us will prefer, the good old double action. That, honestly, is so much fun. Not just shooting it and sort of trying to improve, but owning it. These are finished in what they call aged finish. I've always known it as battle finish, where it looks like it's been through the mill a bit and the edges have been sort of honed off, the bluing's gone on the sharp edges, and it just looks older. I prefer it, but they do it in the standard black. They are incredible fun, but here's the bonus for the rifle shooters. Just like a spring gun, a spring rifle will hone your technique because it won't let you get away with sloppy handling like a pre-charged pneumatic will. These things do that in spades. They treble the difficulty because you've got them out there, right out at arm's length. So they're not being nestled in here and supported by a framework of sort of bones and muscles. They're out there, or heaven forbid, they're on one hand. But whichever way you choose, it's really good training for your technique, trigger technique, follow through, timing, breathing, the whole control thing. I've discovered I don't have a pistol technique at all, so I'm sort of making it up as I go along every time I shoot them. But that's part of the fun. Any rifleman who really wants to get better will get better through using one of these, just the same as a spring gun. There's all sorts of reasons to have fun with these, and these three in particular have given me a whole new lease of my shooting life, and I'm loving it.
Thanks, Terry, and that's it for this week. If you haven't done so already, please visit our website, fieldsportschannel.tv, where you can click to like us on Facebook and Instagram. You can follow us on X and TikTok. You can subscribe to us on YouTube, or pop your email address into our weekly newsletter box and we will contact you about this show. Field Sports Britain, it's at 7 PM UK time every Wednesday, and this has been Field Sports Britain. Good hunting, good shooting, good fishing, and goodbye.